Hello guys, in this video we are going to discuss about the epoxidation reactions and their detailed mechanisms. So first, an epoxidation reaction generally converts an alkene into its epoxide derivative. So being a highly unstable or highly strained molecule, epoxides are very susceptible to undergo nucleophilic attack by different nucleophiles such as OH- or ammonia molecule, and thereby forming several epoxide ring opening products. And due to this very high reactivity, epoxides are very valuable synthetic intermediates in several organic reactions. So for that, several procedures have been reported to make or to synthesize epoxides from alkenes. So based on the nature of alkenes, there are different methods of epoxidation. Let's say, for example, if the alkene is electron rich, then the methods will be different than when the alkene will be electron deficient. If we have a electron rich alkene, let's say this alkene 2-butene, cis-2-butene, we want to epoxide this alkene into its corresponding epoxide derivative. So for that, generally we have two choices. The first one is if we treat this alkene with a PAR acid. So what is a PAR acid? A PAR acid is a carboxylic acid which generally contains a peroxide linkage like this one. So peroxide linkage are basically found in several peroxide compounds like hydrogen peroxide or different peroxides. And these peroxide linkages are very weak in nature due to the repulsion between this oxygen lone pair. So here it will behave as an electrophile. Since our alkane is highly electronically rich, so it will behave as a nucleophile. And this oxidant will behave as a electrophile. And if the reaction is carried out in non-nucleophilic solvents like DCM, dichloromethane, then we will get our corresponding epoxide derivative. There is another method where if we in the first step, if we treat this alkene in bromine water, then this halohydrin or bromohydrin will be generated after the reaction. You all know the first step will be the formation of cyclobromonium ion, and the next step will be the attack by the oxygen nucleophile of water, and thereby this molecule will be produced in the reaction medium. And after that, if we treat this molecule, this bromohydrin, with base such as sodium hydroxide, then this OH- will abstract this hydrogen. This oxygen hydrogen bond will now break, and the pair of electrons will attack this carbon bromine bond from the backside, which will lead to the leaving of this bromide as a leaving group, and our desired product, which is an epoxide, will form after the reaction. So these two are examples of electrophilic addition reactions, and these are applicable when the alkene is electronically rich and it behaves as a nucleophile. In our next example, when the alkene is electron deficient, then we have to use different epoxidizing agents. In this case, our epoxidizing agent will be hydrogen peroxide in alkaline medium. So this reagent will eventually produce the corresponding epoxide derivative of our starting material. So this is a quick summary of different epoxidizing agents and epoxidation reactions. Now I will discuss each reaction and its mechanism one by one. So first, if we consider this reaction, This epoxidation reaction is also called Prelizhev reaction. So here, if we consider the mechanistic aspects of this reaction, so the first thing is that this reaction is a one-step reaction. That is, the reaction proceeds by only one step, and this step is the rate determining step. So by considering this aspect, the molecularity of this reaction will be 2. That is, this reaction will be bimolecular in nature, since for a one-step reaction, both the starting material and the reagent should react with each other in the same step. So now let us take a look at the mechanism of this reaction. So this is the alkane, and this is our PAR acid. So first let us take some examples of PAR acids. So PAR acids, several PAR acids are there for epoxidation reaction. So the most common ones are PAR acetic acid, trifluoroparacetic acid, metachloroparbenzoic acid, nitroparbenzoic acid. These are some examples of PAR acids which commonly used in epoxidation reactions. So what makes them a very good oxygen source, or rather a oxidizing agent for epoxidation reaction? Note carefully that this peroxide bond, which is constructed by a bonding between two oxygen atoms, is very weak. Why it is very weak? A simple explanation will be the lone pair repulsion between the adjacent oxygen atoms. So due to this reason, this oxygen-oxygen bond or a peroxide linkage is very weak. Depending on the conditions, it generally tends to break via a homolytic cleavage, and also heterolytic cleavage. We have seen the homolytic cleavage of peroxides, like during the anti-Markovnikov's addition, we have used benzoyl peroxide, where it was easily underwent the homolytic cleavage when it was subjected to heat treatment or exposure to light. So what is the reason for the homolytic cleavage in this molecule? Because of the high symmetrical nature of this molecule, the molecule wants to break via homolytic mechanism. But in case of unsymmetrical peroxides, like in our case the PAR acids, there will be a tendency to break this peroxide linkage via a heterolytic mechanism. So which one will be the actual electrophilic oxygen atom? So if this oxygen is electrophilic center, then attack by a nucleophile to this center will eventually expel this carboxylate group from this system. So we all know that carboxylate, after formation of carboxylate, it gets stabilized via conjugation. So it is a very good leaving group. But if this oxygen center is acting as an electrophilic center, then attack at this position will lead to the leaving of this OH group as a leaving group. So we all know that OH group is a very bad leaving group because there is no stabilization of this negative charge over the oxygen atom. So for this reason, the PAR acids always behave as an electrophile, and the electrophilic center is the OH oxygen atom, not the carboxylic oxygen atom. Okay, clear? So now let us again go into the mechanism. So here first the nucleophilic attack by this double bond will take place at this OH oxygen atom. This peroxide linkage will cleave and form a double bond with this carbonyl carbon atom. The carbonyl oxygen double bond will break and try to capture this hydrogen atom from this OH bond, and this OH bond will eventually break, and the bonding electron pair will try to form a single bond with the carbon atom of this alkene. So this is a very neat and clean curve arrow notation for the epoxidation reaction. So after that, the transition state will look like this. So here the significance of these dashed bonds are either they are forming in the transition state, that is they are partially formed, or either they are partially broken. So since this OH bond is partially breaking, so this is shown as a dashed bond. And since this oxygen carbon and this oxygen carbon single bond are going to form, that's why it is represented as a dashed bond also. So this is the transition state of this one-step epoxidation reaction. Then the main compound, which is the epoxide itself, will form. So this is the mechanism of the Prelizhev reaction, that is the epoxidation reaction by PAR acids. If we consider the FMO approach, that is the frontier molecular orbital theory approach, then since the alkene is acting as a nucleophile, then the HOMO of this double bond will interact with the electrophile, with the LUMO of the electrophile. So the HOMO of this double bond will look like this, and the LUMO orbital of the electrophile is essentially the LUMO of this antibonding orbital of this peroxide bond. Since this bond is breaking, so essentially it means electron pairs from the HOMO orbital of the alkene will eventually attacking the antibonding orbital of this oxygen-oxygen single bond. So the orbitals will look like this. So this is our PAR acid, HOOCOR. So this lobe has to be in similar phase with that of the HOMO of this pi orbital. So this is the LUMO of the peroxide or the per acid, which is basically the sigma star orbital of this oxygen bond, and this is the HOMO of the alkene, and it is basically the pi bonding orbital of the double bond. So these two will interact and this will lead to the formation of our epoxide. So this is basically the interaction between the frontier molecular orbitals. Okay, so let us go into its stereochemical aspects. So during this reaction, during this particular reaction, that is epoxidation via or by using per acids, the stereochemistry remains intact. That is, if there is a cis relationship with these two methyl groups or any substituents in the alkene, this cis relationship also maintained in the product epoxide. In the product also, they will possess a cis relationship. So this is due to the one-step nature of this reaction, because there is no chance of this molecule to undergo any stereochemical change during the reaction, and that is why it will be highly stereospecific in nature. So epoxidation is stereospecific. So if we consider the Sawhorse projection formula of this molecule, it will look like this. Okay, when there is electron donating substituents in the alkene molecule are present, then the rate of the reaction is found to be faster. If R equals to electron donating groups, which will donate electron cloud via either plus I effect or hyperconjugation effect or plus R effect, then the rate of epoxidation reaction was found to be greatly enhanced. So what is the reason for that? It basically raises the energy level of the HOMO of this alkene, and this makes the interaction between HOMO and the LUMO of this per acid quite efficient, and thereby accelerates the overall reaction by minimizing the activation energy for this pathway. Another interesting thing is the reaction is always carried out in non-nucleophilic solvents like dichloromethane or chloroform, and in these types of solvents the rate was found to be high enough. But when polar protic solvents are used, there is no increase in the rate of the reaction. So this suggests that there is no formation of ionic intermediates during the reaction. If there was formation of ionic intermediates, then use of polar protic solvents will accelerate the reaction by stabilizing those ionic intermediates like in SN1. So here it also confirms that the reaction is proceeding in a concerted pathway or one-step pathway where there is no formation of ionic intermediates. Right? So now we will look at the second reaction, second epoxidation reaction. So this was our molecule 2-butene, cis-2-butene. So here also the first step is the electrophilic attack by the bromine water system. So in the first step, formation of this bromonium ion will take place. And then nucleophilic attack by the oxygen atom of the water molecule will lead to the formation of the bromohydrin. Here the water molecule can attack this carbon center also. So I am considering only one stereoisomer. So after that, if we react this molecule with a base, in most cases it is sodium hydroxide, then the hydroxide will abstract this OH proton and the bonding electron pair will attack from backside of the carbon bromine bond, thereby forming an epoxide. Right? So here we can see that the reaction essentially going via two steps. So as the number of steps increases, the value of the particular synthetic procedure decreases. So that's why Prelizhev reaction or epoxidation via peroxides are of high interest or high importance. So these two epoxidations are for the electron-rich alkenes. So now we will consider the epoxidation of electron-poor systems. Suppose we have this alkene . So here we can see the alkene contains an adjacent carbonyl group which will withdraw the pi electron cloud via -R effect, and this will reduce the electron density of this pi electron system. So that will make this a electron deficient system. So for that we need a nucleophilic oxidizing agent or nucleophilic epoxidizing agent. So here the epoxidizing agent is hydrogen peroxide in presence of OH-. So hydrogen peroxide will react with OH- and thereby this new nucleophile will generate in the reaction medium, the peroxide anion. So now you can tell that, hey, wait a minute, the peroxide anion and the OH- both can act as a nucleophile and then both can attack this alkene. So what is the benefit here? Which one will attack? So if you consider the peroxide anion, here two oxygen atoms are present adjacent. Two oxygen atoms are present in adjacent positions. So this will lead to the formation of a very high energetic system which will be unstable. That is, the lone pair repulsion between these two oxygen atoms will be severely high, and also this oxygen is negatively charged, so there is an extra electron pair. So this will make this overall system, this overall peroxide anion more nucleophilic than the OH-. So this effect, this lone pair repulsion, which increases the nucleophilicity for certain anions or compounds, is called alpha effect. So now the in situ formed peroxide anion will attack this alkene molecule. So which position, which carbon will suffer the nucleophilic attack? This center or this center? If you see this conjugation, then after the conjugation, this intermediate will be produced. And then again, this O minus will form the double bond, and this double bond will shift over here, which will make this molecule. So you can see there is essentially a del plus character in this carbon center and a del minus character in this oxygen center is present. So the electron deficiency of this carbon will be very higher than that of this carbon. So the O minus of the peroxide anion will attack this carbon center, and the pi bond will break, and it will be stabilized by the electron withdrawing effect of this carbonyl group. So this intermediate will form after the first step. Okay, clear? So after this step, this O minus will again form the double bond with the carbonyl carbon, and this pi bond will now break, and it will attack to this oxygen, because this oxygen center now will behave as a electrophilic center, or its property will be like an electrophile, and this pi electron cloud will act as a nucleophile. So this center will essentially behave as electrophile, and this pi electron cloud will behave as a nucleophile. So this substitution reaction will eventually produce our desired epoxide. So based on the different alkenes, that is the property of the alkenes, the electron deficiency or electron richness, the procedures for epoxidation will vary, and mainly there are 3 epoxidizing agents or epoxidation methods which I have just discussed in this video. So in the next videos there will be several question answers regarding this topic. So I hope you have liked this video, and if this video was helpful for you, then please subscribe to this channel. It will give me a lot of energy to produce new videos. Thank you. See you in the next video.